Hi everyone, it's Gothicleeman here. So everyone, I've got about over 450 subscribers to this channel, and some of you follow me for my gothic self, my gothic interests. Some of you follow me for completely different reasons. I was having a discussion with my partner that I have been with, basically my soulmate, my partner. I've been with him for over 8 years, and a lot of you know I have 2 children with him, Michael and Luke, and he's non-gothic and they're non-gothic as well. Well, Luke, I'll take that back, Luke might have a little gothy side to him yet, but who knows. So yeah, besides all me, that I have kept true to myself, even though I'm a mother, so I juggle being a mother, being a partner to someone that's not goth and doesn't always understand me, and just being myself and being a member of part of my community in town, and just, yeah, juggling everything that involves in life. And I was talking to Andrew, my partner, about my videos and my YouTube channel, because he's always known that I do it. Like, not that he watches the videos, but he's been comfortable knowing it. And he asked me, why don't I talk about my kids as much on my YouTube channel? And I was discussing this with another really popular gothic YouTuber that's a mother as well, who's got much older children, and she said she would think about making a video herself on this topic, and I will get to the reasoning soon. So I kind of said to Andrew, this is kind of very personal to talk about, and it's really hard to come to the place to actually discuss this with all you guys. So today I am finally going to talk about this with you guys, and this isn't so much gothic related, so if you're only interested in gothic videos, this really isn't the video for you. But this is just sort of a backing to my life, and probably the biggest chunk in my life to why I don't make as many YouTube videos as I should, and it's about these 2 little people here. So this is Michael and this is Luke. This is an older photo of them too, so they're a lot younger here, but Michael is 6 and Luke is 4, and they both have autism. So for people that don't know what autism is a neurological disorder. It is a lifelong disability. So for all the people that say, will they grow out of it? No, they will not grow out of their autism. They will just learn to better manage it, or to better hide it is another term. So Michael was diagnosed with autism when he was about 3.5 years old, but we had our suspicions from probably 15 months onwards. Luke, it has been a year to this date since Luke was diagnosed with autism. So to start with Michael's autism, it took probably a good 12 months before we got the official diagnosis of autism in the Australian system. It can be a very long and expensive process to do the diagnosis, and generally it was getting started. With the hardest steps was coming to terms with it myself. It first come from a friend that said, I think your child has autism, and then a childcare centre sort of having suspicions and asking for permission to bring like a fancy medical person to the school to assess some children, and wanted my child to be obsessed at the same time. So I guess the hardest battle is I kind of knew it, but when you kind of go, yeah, it's there, but you don't really think of it or come to terms with it, it's kind of the hardest thing to do as a mother, because you don't want to be told that your child is different or there might be something wrong with your child, because you love your children. And or I loved him, he was only little, he was a 2-3-year-old, and these people were trying to tell me that there was something wrong with him. So of course I went through all the steps of it. I first went to a community health centre that we have in Australia, and they have an intake team for children, and they just start with speech therapy and occupational therapists, like just a real basic. And not all children that go there have autism or disability. Some of them just need a little bit extra help, and it's okay. I went with one community health centre, and they were really sort of not helping me at all. It was frustrating. They weren't giving me a straight answer. Going through all these different people, I wanted the straight answer. Like, I just wanted someone to say yes, no, like, you know what I mean, don't muck me around. So I rang another community health centre. I said my situation. I said, I think my child has autism. A little backing of my family. My cousin has autism, Asperger's, intellectual delay. And my brother went through kind of the early stages of assessment for autism over 25 years ago, but he didn't get the diagnosis for autism. So I've kind of always been aware of autism from my family. My parents aren't as open conversations about it. They're more of they don't believe me, they're really against the idea. So I had to go behind my mum and my dad and my relatives back why diagnosing Michael, just because I didn't know how they would react to this situation and the changes that it entails. So sorry, I'm saying a lot of ums. That's just because it is very personal to talk about right now for me. So it was just a long, exhausting process to get Michael diagnosed, and then once the diagnosis came, it was kind of like a weight lifted off my shoulder. Over 12 months of just waiting for Aspects, which is the Australian Autism Association, to assess him, have their psychologist come down to assess him, because I'm in a rural area, so we don't have the same accesses to services like bigger cities, so things take a lot longer to go through the process. So once that was all happening, finally, I got to get thrown in the deep end of what now entails to an autistic child, which is the speech therapy, the psychologist therapies, the occupational therapists, the extra aids and supports that happen at school, the changes at home that I now had to do for my child to better cope in life. Because a lot of the stuff, he's a very withdrawn child, Michael. He wasn't verbal until 3.5, 4, so he was non-verbal. He couldn't verbalize what was going on, what he needed. He would always just react very negative towards me because I didn't know how to help him. But it was once I got the diagnosis, I was able to put all the right things in place to make his life a bit more comfortable, and eventually he opened up a lot more. And Michael, I would subscribe as classic autism, which classic autism means that they show the very stereotypical types of what autism entails, because autism is, they call it autism spectrum disorder, which means that it's a whole spectrum of different levels. So you can have people or children that are non-verbal, or you can have children or people that are very verbal and very strongly verbal. You can have people or children that have anxiety disorders, or ones that don't have anxiety problems. You can have children or adults and peoples with sensory processing disorders, which sensory processing is just sensitivities to everything. So sight, sound, touch, audio, like just anything that normally doesn't bother us can either be a very sensitive or sensory action. They can have a very strong sensitivity to it, which it can be too much. It can hurt their heads, their eyes. It can just be very painful for an autistic child or person, or they have to avoid it altogether, like just can't even cope with there's a lot of great videos that show examples of sensory overload to an autistic child. So I guess what I should do now, because this will become a very long, in-depth video, but this is just my introduction to my children and their autism. But if people want me to get more in depth with this, I can. I'm very open to it. But thank you for watching my video. Thank you for letting me share my children and my life with my children. I love them to death. I would not change anything about them. I just think they're both amazing people with amazing personalities. I can't wait for them to grow up and show me more of their personalities and who they want to be. And one thing I do say to a lot of new parents, because I've been in the circle of autism, I get in the circulation of autism workshops now, to just knowledge myself up more and getting out there. And I've come across a lot of families that are just in tears because they've just gotten the diagnosis, or they're going through the process of a diagnosis. And I've accepted this for over 4 years now. Like, this has been 4 years of my life, just with Michael, and Luke only 12 months really, because I knew it and it was just going through the motions of the diagnosis as well with him, and didn't want to pigeonhole him just because his brother had autism. I didn't want to automatically assume that Luke had autism, so I had to do a lot of the letting him grow up, letting his personality come out a bit more to see if he had autism or not. But what I say to all those newly diagnosed people is, your child has not changed. Just because you get an autism diagnosis or any sort of diagnosis does not mean that your person has changed, because they haven't. They are still the exact same person that you gave birth to, that you have bottle fed, changed nappies. They have not changed. Nothing has changed about your person or their personalities. It's just you now better understand how their minds work or their brains tick, and it's kind of that relief. But just knowing that they haven't changed is really a comfort, because just because they have that disability or that label doesn't affect their whole life. It's, they can still be the same person with the disability. It just makes you a bit more aware of it and how to better cope or better understand. So then there is a really great autism support group on Facebook for Australian families with autism. It is called ASD Matters. please have a look at it. It is a very supportive, private group. They don't judge you for sharing your experiences with your children or struggles you might be going through, and you just need somebody to talk to because people in your life, everyday life, just don't understand it. So, and of course, comment, message me. I am very open to talk about this as well. But thank you for watching my video. Subscribe if you want to. Comment if you want more videos like this or more in-depth stuff. But thank you, everyone.